everyone. Welcome back. This is obviously episode number 2, and today we have a wonderful guest. It is the one and only Megan May of YouTube. Thank you for joining Sipping Tea with Dom and Justine.
Cheers, guys.
Here's my love. Well, thank you, Megan, for wanting to be a part of today's interview. So let's just start. Obviously, you are a YouTube that's well known for doing vlogs on board a very well-known airline. How did it all start? Like, what made you want to sort of go, do you know what, I'm going to start vlogging my job and what I do?
So I feel a bit bad when I tell this story because all the flight attendants on YouTube, I've met a majority of them and they're all really nice and sweet. But when I was going into cabin crew training, I thought they were all liars. I was like, there is no way they love their job this much. I was like, there is no way everything is that great all of the time. I was like, if I get the job, I'm gonna low-key record. So like I was vlogging throughout all of training. I just didn't post it because I wanted to have all of my reactions right away. And I was like, I think it's so important because all the people on YouTube have been flying for so long. I want to be that person that comes on. I'm like, day one, I vlogged the day I graduated. And I was like, I want people to see every bit of this process in case it really isn't that great. And maybe we add a little bit of reality to the world. I love reality TV. So maybe that's part of my issue. Like, I do love reality TV. And I think it's also my personality type. I'm from the Northwest of the United States. I'm from Seattle. We're a little bit sarcastic. We're very much realists. We don't have that Southern charm that a lot of people in Texas have. And I feel bad when I just couldn't believe everyone loved their job and liked that much. But most flight attendants do. They are those kinds of people.
Wow.
Amazing.
And with regards, obviously, to being cabin crew and everything, like, what was the process like? What was, your training was I take it very, very, I would say, in depth with regards to, health and safety. And obviously that's the number one. I know, obviously, when I was going through the interview stage, that was the number one most important thing, regardless of the wonderful service that you can do. Safety is the number one, obviously, priority. Like, how was the process of training?
So training at my airline, or I'm now furloughed. So if anyone doesn't know, because of COVID, about 8,000 flight attendants at my former airline were furloughed. So I do have the opportunity to come back when they need me to come back. But when I was getting trained, I do want to point out that I had actually been applying to be a flight attendant. I wanted to quit college and become a flight attendant. So I had actually been applying for 3 years. I had interviewed with Emirates. I had applied to Etihad. I had applied to every airline you can imagine. And they all wanted me to finish college. So as soon as I graduated, I got accepted. I interviewed at Delta, United, and American.
Wow.
And let's see. And I also had received a position with the Peace Corps in Azerbaijan. So I had some opportunities and I kind of had to choose between Peace Corps and flying.
Yeah.
And I figured I would fly. That seemed a little more glamorous.
Obviously, it's so glam.
So training at my company was like, it was 7 weeks. So originally, I think it had been 11 weeks. And by the time I got there, it had been cut down to 7. And we learned 8 different aircraft. So I'm trained on 8 different aircraft, which is almost every aircraft that my company has. In comparison to like in the EU, I believe in the EU, you can only be trained on 3 aircraft because in the EU, it seemed the safety differences is like you can't know the whole airplane. If you know so many of them, things are going to get confused. So that's just the difference between different where we're from.
And with obviously being a cabin crew and everything, uniform is, I think, one of the things that always fascinates me with most airlines. Everyone always looks immaculate. You always used to look amazing. I love uniform. I love a man in uniform as well.
So,
What were the rules with regards to makeup? Like, was there a certain look that you had to wear, or was it anything really?
Ooh, we had very strict rules. So when I was hired, things changed when we got the new uniform. So I was there for 2 uniform changes.
Oh,
When I first got there, you were required, this is so weird, you're gonna laugh because it makes no sense. You were required to wear lipstick and blush.
oh,
But if you
oh,
didn't want to wear anything else, it wasn't required. And I think they did that because if you're just wearing lipstick and blush without foundation or mascara, you're going to look really crazy.
kind of. Yeah.
Like unless you're
welcome.
wearing like really neutrals that blend in. So that's my theory. It's not been proved that by requiring only those 2 pieces of makeup,
Okay.
that you kind of have to do the rest of your face to like have it make
Oh,
sense.
so
I love makeup, so that's different. I absolutely loved it. But we did have to meet with image consultants. So they were people who work for American. That's their
really?
whole job was to consult on the
Justine.
flight attendant image. And we would have private meetings where they would go, that foundation shade's wrong, your cuticles need trimmed. These
Whoa.
are the colors you can wear on your nails. I like that shade of red for you. I don't like that. And we had it a lot nicer. Up until like the early 2000s, they even would take them to the hair salon to be like, all right, this is the haircut you're getting.
And
Or
like
you're
literally,
getting a perm.
Really? And
wow.
so while we're on the topic of getting dressed for, for your job and or when you were doing this pre-COVID, uh, what about jewelry requirements? Because I'm always obviously scoping out, the flight attendants and the jewelry, and I notice these things, and usually the girls are gorgeous, boys too, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Were there rules for like what, were you allowed certain things, or did you have like a lucky item that you always made sure to wear, or what was your jewelry side?
So my personal jewelry style came down. So before I became a flight attendant, I had multiple piercings in my ears. I always wore necklaces. I was getting into rings. And then once my company had the rule that you were only allowed 1 piercing per ear. So all of my ear piercings have actually closed except for the one. You were allowed 1 necklace,
Okay.
allowed 2 rings, one on each hand, unless you were married, and then you could wear your engagement ring and your wedding band on this hand, so then you could have 3. You had to wear a watch, but bracelets they really didn't encourage. But if you look at flight attendants on the line, so in the US, we don't have managers on board. You don't speak to your manager unless there's a problem.
Okay.
So the more you work for the airline, the more you see people playing with the rules. So when I started flying, the the Pandora charm bracelets
Yes.
were all the rage. Every flight attendant had one, and you would buy a charm from every destination you worked.
You know what? I kind of thought that because that was the sort of thing I would notice, and I thought to myself, I bet it's really the thing. And then you travel, and then each little spot, because I mean, I would do that and go and get something lucky from each destination. It made sense, really. Interesting.
But it also depends like where you work. So like the girls who work China always had pearls because they would go to the pearl market in Beijing. So they would always have jewelry that would. It's so interesting. You can tell where people flew because they had a distinct jewelry or accessory that showed where they worked. So I have an airplane scarf that people could only buy in Beijing. So anytime I wore it to work, everyone would go, "Oh, so you worked Beijing? How'd you get that?" And I'd be like, "I did work Beijing."
Oh,
Nice.
we're going to be looking at all the cabin crew now, aren't we?
Yeah, this is like it's a whole sort of world that I don't know anything about. It's really amazing, actually. How many years have you worked in this job, or had you?
So 2 days ago was my 4-year anniversary graduating from flight attendant training. So as far as like company seniority goes, I'm still at 3.5 because that's when my furlough started. But all of us are considering it our 4-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you going to return, do you think?
I haven't decided. I have to see where grad school's taking me.
Yeah.
Right now, I work as a research assistant, and it's been impressed upon me that I would do very well getting my PhD and continuing on with research. And I really like research.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I won't be returning. But my original intent for going into graduate school was to become a travel consultant and to either create sustainable vacations. So helping sustainability while you travel become something that's accessible and easy to understand and being that expert, or working for hotel companies and going to their hotels and being like, all right, these are changes that you can easily make that will not only earn you more income, but will also build your brand as something that is more sustainable and more conscious. And if I did either of those things, I would be probably creating my own company. And for that reason, I would probably still fly while I'm getting everything up and going. The benefits are amazing if you want to be someone who's a travel expert.
That's incredible. I'm so fascinated by you, Megan. Like really very interested in your whole direction with your eco travel master's degree, right? That's what you're doing.
Yep, I'm getting my master's in international sustainable tourism.
Incredible.
Wow.
Can you explain to us like a little bit of what that really is and what it means?
So my degree, there's only about 3 universities in the United States that even have this program. It's something that's very much up and coming. In Europe, it's a little more, I guess, aware, because at least I go to Germany often. I have friends there. I studied there. They're very conscious about what makes travel sustainable. They have the anti-flying movement, but in the US, that's not something that is really thought of. Even as a flight attendant, people didn't think about it. So actually, it was because I was flying to all of these amazing destinations. I have a vlog on my channel of me going to St. Kitts, and I was so excited. I traded everywhere to get this trip to St. Kitts. And when I finally got there, I was devastated because everyone told me how beautiful it was, but everything was covered in trash at this resort. Like there was just trash everywhere. And then the resort was still giving out single-use plastics. And that very same layover, I started doing research. I was like, I can't be a part of the problem anymore. I need to figure out what I can do to help, even if it's just getting this master's degree, going back to work at my company and being someone they can consult to make the airline more sustainable. I just need something that trains me so I can actually create plans and help. And so my degree is anything you want to do with it. They leave it very open. So this first year, we're just learning the basics of environmental science, statistical research, and then the tourism industry. And next year, I'll be living in Costa Rica doing my own research and learning about sustainable destinations, because Costa Rica is a top 5 sustainable tourism destination.
I thought it was actually. I have some friends that live there and they've talked a lot about that. Oh no, pause guys, my camera.
Oh, no, you're back.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'm having techie things. We're okay, right? We're good.
Yep.
Yeah. You're just a little laggy, but you're okay, my love.
Okay. Give it a second. Go ahead. Sorry, Dom. You take over for a sec while my...
Okay. Well, I have a question, right? So obviously me being a makeup artist and the owner of Dominant Pool Cosmetics, when it comes to makeup in general, you know, one thing that I obviously stand for, and sort of talking from the sustainable aspect from earlier, you know, I'm all about trying to cut down on packaging where it doesn't need to be very customizable, so you're not having to get rid of a contour palette, for example. You can customize with your custom highlighters and stuff. If you were the owner of a makeup brand and you will obviously bring out products of your own, and now that you've got this knowledge from your university degree, what would you do as the owner of a makeup brand that was maybe unique, but also, I don't know, maybe something that was obviously, oh, just guys, I'm so sorry. We've had little technical difficulties. However, we're back and it's all fine now and much clearer. So touching, what is it? Finishing off from the question I was asking. So basically, what am I on about?
Sustainable makeup.
Yes. So obviously we're all about sustainable and obviously saving the planet. And obviously me having my own makeup brand, I'm all about, you know, being at the forefront of, you know, being a company that does cruelty-free, vegan-friendly, less packaging, because, you know, there's too much packaging out there, and, you know, these landfills cannot take any more. If you had your own brand, what would you do, using the knowledge that you have now from your degree that you're doing?
So a lot of my research that I'm doing right now actually focuses on the impacts of tourism on indigenous and local life.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I've noticed heavily in the makeup industry in the United States, there's no conversation about who's making the makeup. How are the ingredients being found? Is that ethical? And
Yeah.
why should we care? So if I were to have my own sustainable beauty brand, I would want to be having the conversation not just about who's making the makeup, like who's bottling it or where the factory is, but in essence, like, where are these ingredients mined? Are they being mined? Like, is this child friendly? Because some makeup companies still use child mined mica, and that's a conversation that needs to be happening. Once we move out of ethical production and making sure that humans are being treated well, obviously the cruelty-free vegan. And when you're talking about packaging, I've learned so much about recycling, and especially in the US, it's shocking how little actually is able to be recycled here. It would be so important for me to have the refillable palettes like you have, and making sure that they are made out of aluminum or a metal that I know will get recycled versus anything else. Focusing on glass packaging, and then when possible, using materials that can be composted at home. So a lot of makeup brands now are saying, oh, well, we're compostable, but that's only through like mass composting. So like, say if your city has compost, then that packaging can be composted. But in most cities in the United States, there is no city composting. So if it can't be done in the garden pile or just through nature itself, then that's not actually compostable for the majority of consumers, which feels like a lie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I definitely agree with that.
It's nicer for you guys in the EU and the UK. You have such higher standards. I love buying from companies that are based out of the EU and the UK, because I know that they already have the laws and regulations in place, that even if they seem pretty low in that region, they're so much higher than the US. I don't have to put so much thought and effort into making sure that they're at least the bare minimum.
Yes, you know, I have to agree with that. I don't know if you know this, Megan, because we're just meeting each other like officially, but I'm from California. I grew up in California, and I've lived in Europe for sort of more than half my life now, so I think I'm kind of half and half. But when I go home, like let's just say in the summer when I get to go and spend time with my family in California, I'm really so surprised at the lack of recycling. Like I'm forever trying to put things in the compost or like, in the recycling thing. And, my mom's like, isn't it terrible? I mean, especially in California, you would think, that they would be like the leader in there, but like, just like food compost, all of it, like things that I consider in the UK to be just, I'm so used to doing them here. And you're right. Like we really need to get further with all of that. I mean, I've started to, supply a lot of my boxes without branding so that maybe they can just be used, repurposed by somebody else that needs to give a gift that should be for me, obviously, but if it's not, that they can maybe reuse the box. And my ribbon is made from recycled bottles, which is kind of interesting. And one of the companies that Dom and I both share and love for tissue paper has like soya-based inks, and they plant a tree for like every sale that they do. They are really awesome, really sustainable. Dominic and I have like, honestly, we spend so many hours discussing, you know, how to be responsible, to do what we love, but be responsible for the future, and not, you know, not be part of the problem, like what you've mentioned earlier. And I just, you know, it's something that even I always try to say to people as well, like even the small changes count in magnitude. Like they're huge. Even just little adjustments in the households or in it, people in business, like implementing small change can go such a long way.
I think that you guys have those conversations is already such a step above where we see so many large corporations. There's a statistic going around that I think it's the top 5% of companies create 80% of the waste. So one of the things I want to bring to my channel, because I am doing a bit of rebranding, changing things as my life has changed, is when I talk about sustainability, it's without judgment on the consumer, because we can only do what we can do personally, and no one deserves to feel judged or have negative feelings over what they can or cannot do, because we're all of different abilities and different knowledge sets. So I appreciate that you guys as companies are putting in that thought process and trying to expand. No one can do anything perfectly. Like I may have this knowledge base, but I make mistakes all the time. I just thought fruit and plastic because I wasn't thinking, and I was like, oh well, there's that.
Yeah, but it is really it is the responsibility of, you know, the companies really, and I definitely agree with you. I would never want to shame any of, you know, the customers, or, you know, it really does come down to the companies starting to really try to put some things into practice that maybe we haven't tried before, like just little things like that, like not using plastics, single-use plastics for packaging. I actually had something I really, really wanted to ask you, which just relates to travel in general. And it's something that really has really bothered me for a long time, because I'm just like constantly for years trying not to use plastic bags, you know, because if I have them, I try to keep them until they disintegrate, because I just don't want to throw them away because of where they'll end up, obviously. But when you travel, when we were allowed, and will be allowed again one day, how at security they force you to put all your stuff in the plastic bags, you know, the little plastic bags. And I just really thought about you, because I thought to myself, I bet that's something that really bugged you, being who you are, you know.
That one's a tricky one, only because for the last 4 years, I haven't had to do that.
Yeah.
So flight attendants have a different security. I know in the US, you don't have to do it in the Ziploc bag anymore. They're a lot more open to having reusable plastic bags. So that's nicer.
Right.
So the thicker silicone plastic. But I think that's one of those battles that I don't think necessarily has to be won yet, when there's so many other things that could be done. Yeah. But I will say in Manchester has the strictest liquid restrictions and strictest agents regarding that, because that's where everyone in the UK gets trained on liquid security and doing airport security. So they have the strictest ones. So if you didn't know that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So if you've ever been to other airports and then you fly back into Manchester and you're like, why are they so mean? Like, why are they catching all of this? That's why, because that's where they're getting trained.
That's interesting, because I guess there are like certain things, places that you fly and you think, why are they so difficult to get through? And then other places are just like, yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
We only know because even as flight attendants, if we came in through Manchester, one day you would go in, because I used to fly Manchester a lot when I first started. If your deodorant wasn't a powder form, it was more of a liquid form, they would throw it away.
Wow.
And they had so many, like sometimes your toothpaste could get through and sometimes your toothpaste couldn't get through. So
that's crazy.
We're prepared. We were like, going to Manchester, don't bring anything that looks like a liquid.
Don't forget to buy it when you're there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on a lighter note, Megan, there's a few little questions that I'd love to ask you. One of them is your pageants and stuff, because obviously I love seeing all the pageants that you've been doing. You look stunning, and I love everything that you stand for. What is that something that you've always done, or is it something that you've kind of got into now?
I started pageants around, I think I was 23 at the time. So I had always loved them, which is odd because I was raised by a single dad. So like I grew up like fishing and camping and working on cars, but pageants just blew me away. I always loved it. When I was in middle school, I asked my dad to compete in one, and he was like, "Do you think we're made of money? What?
Oh.
No." And then I was assaulted when I was around 22, and
Oh gosh.
doing pageants was one of my things. My therapist had recommended doing something that seemed radical to me, but I had always wanted to do to help push me into a self-confidence mode. And I was like, fine, I'm gonna do a pageant. And it was so expensive. I think it was $1,500, not including like the gown and everything.
Wow.
I paid for all of it myself.
Wow.
I know.
But when I stepped on stage, not knowing anything, because girls who compete pageants, some of them have trained since they were like 10 years old. They've got like family and everyone helping them out. I stepped on stage as this girl who knew nothing, bought this dress from China, didn't know how to walk, didn't know how to pose, but I stepped on stage.
Yeah.
And I loved myself so much in that moment. In that moment on stage, I have a picture of it where I'm like standing like Superwoman. But in that moment, I was like, this is who I am. I'm glamorous, I'm loving, I'm amazing. And all of the negative things or feelings that I had felt from the assault kind of just washed away. And I continued with pageantry because it forced me to identify myself in such positive terms. Like, I'm a strong woman, I'm an independent woman. These are what because pageants require you to define yourself. And so I was able to redefine myself as someone who cared about sustainability, cared about the planet, someone who was confident. And so now every time I step on stage, I don't necessarily.
Oh, I think you froze there. You're back.
Oh, so I don't.
Yeah,
Oh, just.
okay.
But it's just every time I step on stage now, I step on stage embracing every single flaw that is mine. So I know when we talk about pageants and like Miss Universe, they all seem perfect, but no one is. And to be able to win a pageant, you have to expect, like, just embrace every flaw. So maybe I have short legs and cellulite, and that might make me feel uncomfortable. But someone else may have been told that her boobs are too big and that makes her too sexual to win. So when you step on stage, you are exactly who you are in that moment, and you have to love every single bit of you. And so that's why I compete in pageants.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I love everything you stand for, and I also love the fact that, you know, it's kind of girl power, you know, feel confident in the skin that you're in. You are who you are, and you shouldn't have to change for anybody. And I think beauty comes in all different shapes, sizes, different genders, you know, all ages. You know, we are still humans at the end of the day. You know, we've all got flaws, but actually I think our flaws make us who we are.
That's very true.
I've been really lucky that, because there's so many systems of pageantry, that the ones I've chosen to compete in really value that diversity, and they want you to feel confident in who you are. They're not wanting you, because some do, like some want you to get the plastic surgery so you'll be more likely to win. They want you to wear this designer, and the companies that I've competed with very much are like, no, buy that budget gown, buy it used, do your own hair and makeup. As long as you feel beautiful, we're happy to have you here. Like, we want you exactly as you are.
So do you have any titles?
So I currently don't have any titles right now. I was former Miss Texas Nations of States, and I guess I've represented Texas and Washington at a national competition before. And the largest title I won was in 2016. I was Miss Global Beauty United States, and I was supposed to go represent the United States in South Korea. But I chose to be a flight attendant instead. It was a choice where I had to decide, am I going to go compete in the US or am I going to be a flight attendant? And at the time, I thought it was one or the other. And I was like, obviously, I have to pick my job. I already quit my other one.
I get that. That was a wise decision, but also at the same time, God, you never know, you could have won.
Yeah.
It's even rougher now because probably 6 months after I started flying, I was telling that story to someone. They're like, oh, you could have postponed training. You didn't have to choose. And I was like,
No.
Oh,
Oh.
postponed?
gosh, that would be so annoying. But, you know, I guess things might come around again. You never know. You could get that opportunity or something even bigger. Something in the UK. You never know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we can
Definitely.
be your team. I'll do the makeup. Justine will do the jewellery side of it.
I would die.
100%, Megan.
Oh my gosh, I'm not even kidding. Like, as soon as we started working together, Dom, I was like, oh, I am dying for him to like show me how to do my makeup. I
Oh,
want
Oh, you need to come on over, Megan.
well,
I
I can't wait to come over and see everything and
well, you
get
should tell
glammed
us
up a
if
little
you
bit.
ever get a flight into London. Let us know and we can meet up, we can chill, hang out, or maybe we could, I don't know, we can do your makeup for a video or something. You know, a glam makeover,
Yep.
British style.
British style.
Okay,
I'll bring my whole box of treasures for you as well, Megan. We'll doll you
I
up.
was obsessed with Towie for a very long time. So
No. Can you watch
For,
it
like-
where you are?
yeah, it's on Hulu.
Wow.
I
Nice.
10 seasons of Towie. And when I was in college, I was obsessed with the Geordie Shore. When I say I watch really bad reality TV, like I watch really bad reality TV, and I love it from England.
Do you understand
Something
what
about
they're
the
saying?
accent.
Do you understand what they're saying though? Especially the Geordie Shore lot.
So Geordie Shore probably took me a year of subtitles to understand, but I have most of it down now.
Very
I
good.
actually went as like Charlotte from the Geordie Shore's Halloween one year in college.
Well,
It's-
she is a wild one, that one.
Yeah, she is. Amazing.
MTV in Europe is very different than MTV in the US.
Yes,
I don't have as much time now to enjoy it.
I feel like in the US, you know, people are a lot more, I would say, no offense to the Americans, a little bit more, I would say, you know, sort of watch your back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it will kind of come for you. Whereas us Brits, you know, we'll just say it as your face and we'll just start a fight there and then, you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
The Americans kind of like, I'm watching you, but we are like, I'll cut you.
Into the kill.
We're going for you.
I think that's true. Honestly, I was referring more to like the sexual aspects of it because in the US you can say that it's happening or you can hint at it.
Oh, we just
But
do
I
it.
remember in the first episode of Geordie Shore, because I was in shock, I was like in a computer lab on university campus, and Gaz had a girl applying sunblock on him, and I was like, I can see the shadows, like little American college student. He was like, I had never seen anything like that on TV outside of Germany, and I just thought Germany was weird because I studied abroad in Germany as a high school student, so I wasn't exposed to the nudity culture in Europe, but it had been a few years, so I got put back in shock.
Well,
Awesome.
we just do it, and you know, everyone's doing it on TV nowadays. Especially in the UK, we have no shame. We really don't, do we, Justine?
Not really. No, not really. Definitely not.
I'm from no shame. No shame is good.
No shame is good. Well, I definitely think you need to come over for a visit, Megan. That's going to be mandatory. Absolutely.
100%.
I would love it.
So I have one more question, and then I'll hand it over to Justine. And it's just a quick fire question. If you could only live with one product for the rest of your life, you're only allowed one product, right? That could do pretty much maybe a whole face, or something that could just give you that confidence to just get out the door. But this is one product, by the way. What would that be?
Mascara.
Perfect.
I
Okay.
have blonde eyelashes. I look like an alien without it.
I guess you could use the mascara as well as like a brow gel. I know it wouldn't be the right color, but if you had a brown mascara, you could put it in your brows too. So multi-purpose, hey?
Very, very nice. We like multi-purpose. Multi-purpose is good.
We do.
And if you had one sort of item of jewelry, what would it be?
Oh, a necklace. I love anything that lays right against my heart. It's very romantic. That's what I like.
Oh, I love that. That's so sweet. Good choice as well.
Oh, I love it.
I've got to ask you like one little festive film suggestion. Do you have a favorite Christmas film?
I'm an old school lady. The only Christmas movie I watch every year is White Christmas, and I rewatch it multiple times.
Awesome. Good to know.
That's lovely. And what is a typical Christmas day in the Miss Megan May household?
This isn't a good rapid fire question for me because I was actually raised not celebrating Christmas.
Oh.
So I don't have those traditions that most people have.
Okay.
But I absolutely love stockings. I think it's adorable.
Oh,
so we do like stocking exchanges between my friends now. So I guess that's the one thing we normally do in the morning is stocking exchanges. And we used to do a bar crawl on Christmas Day too, because all my friends were bartenders. It's like, so we did potluck bar crawls where we'd bring food.
Nice.
What did the Geordie Shore lot say? Mortled. Gonna get mortled.
It sounds like a fun festive season over your way, Megan. I have to say, it sounds excellent.
Well, do you know what? I think we will wrap this one up, my lovely. But thank you so much, Megan, for being a part of Sipping Tea with Dom and Justine. And hopefully, you know, when you get back to flying, maybe we can meet you in person. We could do a video together then, a makeover.
I would absolutely die. I love that idea.
Not that you need one, though. Let me just say that. Not that you need a makeover, but we'd love to just get our hands on you and just, show you the British way of doing things.
Oh my God, I would love it.
But thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you guys so much. I had so much fun meeting you, and I love working with you guys. So have a wonderful holiday season. What a great way to start the morning. Thanks for having tea with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. It's so lovely to meet you. Have a happy holidays.
Thank you guys. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.